Hello, my name is Matthew, and I thought I would do a Friday Reads. I very rarely make any sort of wrap up videos, but um, there are a few reasons why I wanted to. I've been reading a lot of really interesting things that I haven't had a chance to talk about, and sometimes when I'm reading multiple things at the same time, I get confused and it can be a little difficult to talk about. And I thought I would share some of those things. The other reason, which is more self serving, is that I'm hoping to make several videos, and I find if I can get myself talking and get my mindset in that sort of mode, it's much easier for me. And there's a few videos that I might have a harder time with than showing a whole collection of books that I'm familiar and comfortable with. So, and this is about maybe a week or 2 weeks worth of stuff, and I don't know if it's everything, but of course I've been reading Dune. I have several videos on Dune, so I'm not going to spend any time with that, but this has been my primary book and where most of my time goes for my reading time. And I recently got a copy of Barchester Towers. I really want to become much more acquainted with Anthony Trollope. Everything that I've read, I've really enjoyed. And I'd like to go through that Barchester series. So I did get a copy of this, but I started reading The Warden a few days ago. I read about half of it. This is the Modern Library edition. And it's such a great small scale family community drama. There's this warden of a church hospital, and he's older. He's had a peaceful, quiet life. He has two daughters. The older daughter is married to a doctor, an archdeacon, and a young daughter who is still single. And a young radical hotshot doctor comes into town and turns this guy's life just completely upside down. He finds that there might be some nefariousness going on in the will of this church hospital, and that the warden has been getting a huge salary which he actually did not deserve, and the 10 or 12 elderly men that live in the hospital who've been living on pennies might have all this time actually been deserved much more than they've been getting. And to complicate matters, the young radical hotshot Dr. Bold, might also have a romantic interest in the doctor's daughter. And the way it plays out in the first half, anyway, I've read it before. I don't exactly remember how everything ties together. It's just so great because there's inner conflicts with every character. The warden even says to the young doctor, if it turns out that you're right, then you're in the right, and I'm not going to hold that against you. And he's thinking, like, have I been living this life that I didn't deserve? And the young doctor who, the radical doctor who wants to marry the young woman or get in her good graces, his sister, the doctor's sister, is saying, like, why on earth are you doing this? And the doctor's kind of gets himself into a corner and says, like, well, it's the principle of the thing. And she's saying, well, why are you making this your battle? And he's conflicted. The 10, 12 elderly patients that are living in this hospital find out that maybe they were due all of this money, and they get themselves all up in arms. The archdeacon comes out and goes, why on earth do you people think that you deserve all of this money? What have you done? It's so great, and the conflicts are so human. For whatever reason, I'm going to hold this up even, well, for whatever reason, I've not been in the mood for Edgar Allan Poe, even though October, November is usually the time of year that I really like to settle into Edgar Allan Poe. I read, what did I read? Metzengerstein, which had some of this this imagery of livestock that had been caught on fire, and horses running in agony in a flame, and the Metzinger character hearing these howls and screams in his room with this tapestry, and there's this hallucinatory element where the tapestry is coming alive. I was also thinking about Hannibal setting the livestock on fire, but that's the only thing by Poe that I've read recently. Thinking about that time, this time of year, October and November, I still wanted to kind of read something in a certain flavor, which I don't know if I can describe. But I was thinking about Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I was thinking about Washington Irving. I read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and I read Rip Van Winkle for as far as I know the first time. Washington Irving is not an author that I'm very familiar with, other than cultural influence, and I was largely disappointed. Maybe I was just surprised by how different it is from what I had imagined. Ichabod Crane is this schoolmaster, also a bit of a charlatan. He's an expert on legends and myths, gives it an authority to the people in the town who are already superstitious. And so there's going to be the legend of the Headless Horseman, but the story goes in a different direction, where there's a young girl that he's interested in, a young woman that he's interested in, and a affluent or wealthy farmer. And there was one section where there's going to be a descriptive scene. Ichabod's going to go to this house and see the farmhouse, meet the father, meet the daughter. And so he describes all of the possessions and decor of this house. And it was amusing because instead of having a strict description, we get this purpose behind it, which is he wants to marry this woman. And so he's seeing all of these possessions, all of these things that he's already thinking about how they're going to be his. And he's just seeing the furniture and the artwork and whatever's in the house, and just thinking, well, when I get married, I'm going to have all of this stuff. The rest of it I didn't think played out very well. But I moved on to Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I got Twice Told sales kind of recently, within 2-3 weeks. I really do want to go through, after reading The House of the Seven Gables, which I thought was terrific. I want to read The Scarlet Letter, which I haven't read since high school, and I thought it was awful, and I think I'll have a very different opinion. But I thought I would start with the short stories to have that kind of feeling that I get when I read Edgar Allan Poe. And I read The Gray Champion, and then Sunday at Home. And all of these stories are extremely short. I even had an idea of, like that Poe series I did maybe a year or two ago, of just going through the book and making little videos of my impressions on all of these short stories, which I might do, but I was so kind of taken aback by the style of The Gray Champion, the first short story in this collection. I don't know if Twice Told Tales is always the same exact set of short stories, but, and it's this historical story of New England and turning at a time that's a turning point, and it's very patriotic. Reads bit of like nonfiction or an essay form, and not much of a narrative story. It's just a moment, which I guess works well in the short story form. And the same thing with Sunday at Home, which was just sort of a description instead of a short story that's going to have a punchy twist at the end or something like that. I've been reading the Bible. Specifically, I've been reading the Old Testament. And I can't remember, I was reading something within the past few weeks that had a character, and it was just a quick description that the character would only read the Old Testament. It was the book that they had, and whenever they had their leisure time or their reading time, it was the Old Testament. And I always like that sort of character trait, and think, well, I want to be reading the Old Testament. And I've been reading Exodus when I can in the morning. I wake up very early and I go to work very early, but sometimes if I have a spare minute or two, I'll read a few passages. And I've been reading just Moses arguing with the Pharaoh, and Moses pleading with God, and the plagues that are happening, and the obstinate Pharaoh seeing just horrific things happening and still not letting the people go. But it's been quite enjoyable. Usually in the mornings, Andy, my affectionate cat, likes to push the Bible out of my hand so he can have all of my attention, which I'm always happy to give him. And I haven't gone back to this in a little bit, but in the past 2 weeks or so, I had gotten a copy of a new translation by NYRB Books, and it's translated by, it's Purgatorio by Dante, translated by D.M. Black, which made a really good decision for me, from my reading experience, to do away with the rhyme and just try to tell the story of this pilgrim and Virgil coming out of hell and witnessing the Purgatory mountain and then making that ascent, and all of the psychological insight and trauma and awe that these characters are going through, and the people that they're meeting. In the introduction, it made such a valuable point to me that this is the book where there's a passage of time. The Inferno is eternal, and the Paradise is eternal, but this is the transformative portion of the great poem. And so days are going by, people are sleeping, and people are changing. This has been my nighttime reading. The Bible, the Old Testament, was my early morning reading. And just this week, I started reading Dracula. I thought that would be very fitting for Halloween coming up. I've never read Bram Stoker's Dracula. I loved I'm not often a fan of the upholstery type of novel set in letters or journal form or diaries. I thought it worked so well to create a feeling of suspense and horror. Reading these journal entries and thinking the person that's writing it doesn't know the future. So it just adds a really terrific textural level of like ominous doom. And the beginning was fantastic, going to Transylvania and going to uh, Castle Dracula and meeting Dracula, and this guy figuring out that he's imprisoned in this castle, and learning that there are no servants. And there's a moment where he thinks about the coach driver that brought him to the castle, and different people that he thought that he saw, and having this revelation that in fact it was always Dracula, maybe in some sort of costume or something. I immediately wanted to reread the whole thing again and see how accurately all of that was described. Right now I'm in the middle section of Dracula, which I don't know if it's dragging or not. Not quite yet. I don't have a full view of the story. The frustration comes from how much I enjoyed the beginning, and just thinking like, I want to be back in that castle. I want to be spending more time with Dracula instead of these other people and the patients and the two women talking. And I just thought Transylvania and the castle and Dracula was absolutely captivating. Um, and I'm looking forward to continue reading it. So that's pretty much what I've been reading the past week or two. I don't know about everything, but it's been mostly Dune. So thank you for watching. Please let me know what you're reading, what has been interesting you. So please leave a comment if you would like. And thank you for watching, and take care.